Hi, in this video I'd like to talk a little bit about limitation of liability in an agreement. So what I did here is I drafted up a one-page agreement between Door Installers Inc. and John Doe, and it has this section called limit of liability. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about what that means and how we might go about changing that. So this is a one-page agreement. The builder, Door Installers, is going to install a new door on my residence at my address. So I talked to the builder, and he said that he'll procure and install the door in 10 years time. So that's fine by me. I agreed to pay him $1,000 to install this model of door, and he added this limitation of liability. So he provided me this agreement on paper, and I wasn't quite sure about this limitation of liability. So I typed up the agreement just exactly as it said. I could actually also scan it as a PDF and just search compare in Word, compare documents, and compare a blank Word document to the PDF, and that should pull in most of the text and format it and make the agreement. So the scope looks fine. He's going to procure and install this door. The date looks fine to me. And then it says it's John Doe will pay builder $1,000 within maybe. Let's edit this. So let's go review track changes for the scope within 30 days. So I'm going to pay him for that. And then limitation of liability. Builder's total liability to John Doe shall not exceed the budget. That to me is not really clear. So the concept of limitation of liability became much more popular in contracts in the mid 20th century as larger construction projects occurred. Standard form templates were popularized, and international contracts in jurisdictions with diverse rules around liability kind of emerged. Courts began to take a pretty strict approach to this idea of a limit of liability, that it could limit liability both in contract and tort. What it means is that no matter what happens, the most damages the design builder would ever have to pay me for is the limitation of liability. So in this case, I think what he's trying to say is the compensation. So builder's total liability to John Doe shall not exceed the compensation amount in this agreement. So he's trying to say that no matter what happens, he will not owe me more than $1,000. So let's say he's carrying the doors from his truck by the sidewalk, and he accidentally hits someone on the head, and that person sues me. No matter what, the builder will not be liable for more than $1,000 to me. Or if he, I don't know, smashes the window on my house beside my front door, or if he comes into my house and smashes a bunch of stuff or burns it, whatever, the maximum he'll ever pay me under this agreement is $1,000 for damages. So I don't like that. So what I would actually do in this case, I mean, if I'm not looking for a perfect contract here, I just want to have some ideas, probably Google limitation of liability clauses and sort of see what other people are saying about it. So I had some sample template provisions come up on Google. I just clicked on one. This one, limitation of liability, is talking about trustees and funds. Okay, that's not really what I'm looking for. Trust and trust file, no, not what I'm looking for. Consultants total liability to company shall not exceed consultant compensation value. Okay, so I recognize that, or the amount of recoverable insurance. So I like this. So except for confidentiality, indemnity, except for claims from gross negligence or intentional willful misconduct. Okay, so I kind of like this. So I'm going to start incorporating something into my agreement, kind of like this. So maybe let's say except for intentional or willful misconduct, I guess, yeah, builder's total liability to John Doe shall not exceed the greater of A, the compensation amount in this agreement, or B, regardless of whether any action or claim is based upon contract, warranty, tort, or strict liability. Okay, so that's what something along the lines of what the template said. Okay, now I'm going to go through these, and I don't know if I need all this language. Okay, first of all, warranty. Now I remember in the store, the builder said there's no warranty on the door. So I'm not going to be suing him in warranty. I know there's no warranty, so I'm just going to delete that. Strict liability. Now I know he's not using dynamite to take out the old door. I know he's not, carrying huge vats of water that might flood my neighbor's property. I don't know if there's any kind of very strict regulatory rules on, someone who's installing doors. I don't know. I don't know if I really need strict liability in here. Contract or tort, those are the two major areas of law that I might sue him under. I might sue him because he broke the contract. He didn't install the door, or he didn't get the correct door, and I have to hire someone else to install it. So I have to pay for a new installation, or tort. Maybe he's not being careful. Well, that's better anyway. It's an improvement. So intentional or willful misconduct, I don't know. By mentioning that, I might be excluding other things. I'm a little hesitant to say that. There might be something else like willful misconduct. I'm going to take that out too. But what I am concerned about is property damage. He has builder's commercial general liability insurance. So that should cover, he has $1 million of insurance that covers property damage or personal injury, including death. So that's good. He has some insurance there, but I don't want to exclude it, right? So regardless of whether any action, so it's the amount of recoverable insurance. Okay, he'll have $1 million that we can access. So I'll just leave it at that. So that's an improvement. Shall not exceed the greater of the compensation amount, so that's $1,000, or any amount that's actually recoverable under insurance. Now, builder will maintain $1 million of insurance per occurrence and in the aggregate during the services. So if in performing the services he hurts somebody or damages some property, somebody could sue him, and there's a pile of money sitting with the insurer to pay that out. So we know there's a pile of money there. I'm just thinking if the neighbor sues me. So builder will cause this policy to name John Doe as an additional insured. So that way, if the neighbor gets hurt and then sues me, I'm also covered for the builder's services. Again, I'm not recommending this language here. This is just an example of kind of clarifying what the limitation of liability means, and sort of saying, we have access to this insurance. We could have excluded something else. For example, if he didn't have insurance, we might have just said the total liability of John Doe shall not exceed. Here, let's do option B here. Okay, shall not exceed actually what we can do, we can say except for property damage or personal injury, builder's total liability to John Doe shall not exceed the compensation amount in this agreement, right? That would be another way these examples online are saying, except for this and that, right? So we can kind of exclude those scenarios. So that's kind of how the limitation of liability would work. And this one, this is nice because it specifically has insurance in the agreement, so it kind of refers to that. But this is nice, kind of shows our intent, right? So that's a little bit about limitation of liability in an agreement. So I can go ahead and email this off to the builder. If he agrees with one of them, he could take either one. So maybe he likes this one more. He can just he'll just reject this. He'll delete that and just accept that. There. So, you can accept or delete stuff. Well, he agrees to include me as insurance. And yeah, that makes sense. There. So that's how he might accept it. They said, okay, we can sign it now. So that's a little bit about limitation of liability in agreement. Thanks for listening.